Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Yuvi Hecht about Pretty Freekin Scary, premiere coming soon to Disney Channel. Welcome to the show, man. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you, man. I'm glad to be here. I'm excited.
It's like calm before the storm, right? You go film this thing and people are going to be able to see it. Like, how are you feeling now? Like, it's going to be coming out like in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, this is like that time where everything's super exciting and you're getting to see all these like posts by Disney Channel about the show. So, and this is my first like big production that's actually been out. So I'm over the top, like this is crazy for me.
100%. And I kind of want to talk about the show and specifically your character and everything. But like, storytelling, acting, I feel like that's just something that you wanted to do at a young age, I'm assuming, or did you kind of start realizing you wanted to do that a bit recently?
Yeah, actually, when I was younger, being an actor was actually I never thought about it even actually. Until I tried it, I got like a little glimpse of the industry and I sort of fell in love with it. So I pursued it and I kept working hard. I took classes and I just fell in love with it.
Absolutely. And audition processes always interest me because I feel like they're always going to be different, no matter what the project is. I feel like sometimes you're told a lot about the character and the show. Sometimes you're not told anything. You know what I mean? So like exactly. For this one specifically, what can you tell me about the audition process? Like, how much did you know specifically?
So, I didn't know much at all. I mean, they gave me like a little bit of information about the character. But what's interesting is that when I first auditioned for the show, I auditioned for the role of Dio, which is another role that my buddy Jackson plays. And I got a call back for it. And I was super excited because I really, really wanted this role. And it turns out that they thought that I was a better fit for a different role. So they auditioned me for the role of Ehrlich. And I got a call back for that too. And I realized that I love Ehrlich so much more. And after I realized that I got the role, I was like, I couldn't believe it.
What can you tell us specifically? It's funny because I really like what you said at the beginning of the interview, how like now with it being kind of around 2 weeks out, now we're going to start seeing everything roll out, and now it's going to be everything. So I want to know what you're able to tell me about your character Ehrlich and about kind of what we can expect from the show, as much as you're able to say, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, so without revealing too much, I think that it was very easy for me to connect to Ehrlich. Mm-hmm. And I think you can tell by my acting, you can really see that brought to life.
Yeah.
Me and Ehrlich have many similarities. Like, I think that we're both true to ourselves and we want people to actually like us and talk to us for who we really are.
Yep.
But we also have many differences. Like, our family situation is super different. And I can't say much more because, I mean, that would reveal a lot. And my family situation is pretty heavy in the show. So
is it cool to be in that space of like spooky content and like horror thriller a little bit, knowing that it's so popular these days? Like, I feel like that's a really cool thing.
I mean, with these Disney shows, I mean, this is the first one for me that I've seen that's got this kind of unique aspect to it with the spookiness and like a mysterious type of vibe. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was very cool and it was very interesting to film. And seeing the sets too, especially when they would build like a mysterious set, I would walk on and I'd see it and I would just be amazed.
What can you tell me about the plot of Pretty Freekin Scary? Or like what because there was some first look stuff that came out a little bit. There's descriptions, but what can you tell me?
Yeah, so it follows the life of this girl named Frankie, and she dies. And when she dies, she goes to this place called the Underworld, and she meets the Grim Reaper, and her two helpers. Mm-hmm. So when she goes to meet the Grim Reaper, she talks to her, and she tells her that this was a mistake and that she was not supposed to be down here at all. Mm-hmm. So she lets her know that she can send her back to the overworld under one condition, and that is if she completes these tasks for her. And she says it's too dangerous for her to go back up to the underworld alone, so she sends her helpers, Pretty and Scary, with her. And when they're there in the overworld, they kind of like join her in her life, like they live in the same house with her and they go to school with her. So
absolutely. Was it really cool to be able to bring a character to life on screen after reading the scripts for it? Because I always feel like that's a really cool thing, right? Because you got to get the sides, you get everything about your character, Ehrlich, but then actually going kind of like filming it, like what's that like? What's that transformation like?
I think that it's super important to find something that you have and that your character has too, because if you don't find that one thing, people can't relate to your character as much, and they don't really feel your character as much. So I think it was I'm super lucky, and it was super cool to actually find something that I connected to with Ehrlich.
Mhm.
So yeah.
The Disney Channel fandom is a global fandom because there's a lot of countries that have access to Disney Channel. Is it starting to sink in that you're going to be on a show that's going to be kind of disseminated to so many countries around the world? Like it's pretty crazy to think about.
I I mean, honestly, it's still crazy to me. It really hasn't yet. Like to think that I'm actually like on a Disney show and it's going to be like around the whole world, and I'm seeing all these comments from different places around the world. It's still super crazy to me.
Is it one of those things too where like you've had those conversations with your family and friends about kind of like all the kind of next steps? Because at one point there's gonna be a premiere, there's gonna be
Yeah.
like there's like a lot. It is like I said at the beginning of the interview, like it's calm before the storm. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my family's always calling me up. They're checking for updates. What's next? My friends too. So I'm always keeping them on their toes, and it's always exciting. So yeah, there's always something new coming up.
What was it like filming with everyone? Like any specific kind of cool things that happened like on set or anything? Like, what was that like for you?
Well, I've been told by many people that on a lot of sets, not people don't always connect with each other too well.
Mhm.
And when I first stepped on into the studio for Pretty Freakin Scary, and I first met the cast, we all just connected so fast, and we became like a family. I mean, I'm hanging out with my cast members on and off set. I'm still FaceTiming them. So we I think that it was so fun to actually like work with people that you love. And
Yeah.
that's one of the main things that I do love about acting is meeting new people and connecting with these people. So yeah.
Last question I have to ask, and if you say not really, I don't know if you're being truthful, man. I'll be honest with you. There had to be, with it being kind of a spooky kind of vibe show, there had to be pranks on set. There had to be.
Oh,
There had to be
oh,
something. Is there anything you can share with me about that?
that pranks.
Was there any pranks or like inside jokes? Because sometimes there's not pranks, and then there's like inside jokes that maybe can be like a prank because everyone's like imitating each other. Is there anything like I don't know? I feel like there's a lot of stuff in like the sets. Like maybe there could have been like some jump scare
There
stuff.
were definitely pranks. We work right next to the set of Villains of Valley
Yep.
View. So we had a little war with one of the crew members there, and our cast members on Pretty Freaking Scary. So
Ooh.
went over there and we printed like wanted signs of this crew member everywhere on the studio. And I think the next day or the next like 2 days, she came over to our set and she completely changed off one of the cast members a room. So it was like there was chains everywhere and locks everywhere and he couldn't get into it. And then when he finally got in, there was like rubber duckies everywhere, like desk on the floor everywhere.
That's
So
the
yeah.
that's the best. So I'm glad I asked that question because
Yeah.
sometimes I'll ask that question and people are like, "Ah, like not really." Like some late nights, there's some joking, but like no pranks, and it's sometimes a waste. That was definitely not a waste.
Oh yeah, there definitely was. One time me and Eliana and Jackson, we walked over to the other set. We were bored during lunch and we wanted to explore.
Mhm.
And we walked over to the Villains of the Valley View studio, and we were walking into this room, and we were like, dude, we have to check this out. So we walked in, and right as the door shut, I turned around and I saw like one of those like key card things where you have to put your key card to open the door.
Mhm.
And I realized, I'm like, guys, we're like locked in here. Like I don't know what to do now. So we were trapped on the other set for like 30 minutes. So yeah, there's a bunch of inside jokes and pranks that were going on.
So good. And as far as we know, Pretty Freakin Scary is going to be premiering June 15th on Disney Channel, which is nuts. That's in like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yuvi, so great chatting with you. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me, man. This has been fun.
Instagram is probably the best way people can keep update with everything, right? They just put Yuvi Hecht, they'll find it.
Yeah, UV_Hecht. That's my Instagram.
Awesome. Well, this has been Pop Turniv, youtube.com/PopTurniv for previous episodes. PopTurniv.com has other content as well. Yuvi Hecht is going to be Ehrlich in Pretty Freakin Scary, premiering on Disney Channel June 15th. Until next time, this is Yuvi and PD Beats, signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Pop Turniv. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Pop Turniv on YouTube. Be sure to like Pop Turniv on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.